Inside the Charred Barrel in the Brackenberry part of the city of Defiance Bay, there's a lot of interesting people to read. Reach out for the soul. You see a group of children shouting, twisted laughter erupting from two small mouths. An eyeless boy, face grown over with strange black tusks, cowers against a log. His small shoulders shake as he whispers to himself, trying to block out the relentless trail of insults. Freak, monster, death head. The boy stays long after the other children leave. You see the same eyeless boy, now a man many years later. Another group crowds him, but this time it is an audience. He tells a long joke about a ghost in a privy, and by the time he reaches the punchline, the crowd is yelling, starting to sound very much like the first. Interesting, I do see the tusks. Here. Tusks on that one. And they call them godlike. So many people to read. Before we leave, I'm going to just see about the stories of these people. I just find it interesting at times. Reach out to the soul. You see a pair of chain gloves sitting on a table between two men. The gloves are inlaid with gold runes and glow with a faint blue aura. The man stands on one side of the table, and across from it is another man dressed in arcane robes. The man retrieves a small pouch and hands it to the wizard, telling him to count it to ensure his entire payment is there. The wizard smiles, giving the man a half blow, and then empties the pouch into his hand. You wanted these gloves protected from thieves and other unsavory characters, he says, dropping the coins piece by piece back into the bag. Put them on, and they will never leave you. The man slowly slips his hands into the gloves, a look of satisfaction on his face. His smile falters a little once they're on his hands. The gloves flash briefly and then start making a light metallic tinkling noise. The sound of satisfaction quickly becomes one of concern, and he grabs at the gloves, trying to pull them from his hands. His fingers tug at the openings, but they have shrunk, trapping his hands inside. The metal begins to work its way into his skin, small drops of blood appearing on the surface of the gloves. The man drops to his knees, fighting with them and crying in pain. The gloves constrict until they have completely shrunk around the man's hands, becoming one with the flesh. The man looks in horror at his hands, then up at the wizard, who has finished counting his money and is standing at the door. You certainly won't be losing them now, he says, stepping through the door, slamming it behind him, leaving the man on the floor staring at his hands. What a horrible thing to have happened. Reach out to this woman. You see a woman sway, her voice floating gloriously above the court, lilting and sweet. It twists around them, and they smile, enraptured, as she palms their hearts one by one. She begins to dance, but something in her step is offbeat. She pauses, confused, a snatch of some foreign sound in the air. Competing, resisting. It takes her a moment to spot him, a small man with a single brow chanting under his breath, disrupting her song with his staccato incantation. She intensifies the dance, the swing of her hips wider, her feet a flicker above the square tiled ground, the underlying chant in her own song more persuasive. Her lips twist, intently, vibrating with the effort of countering her charm, and then, a note, crystal clear, bright and tinkling. He begins to smile dazzlingly as her song continues, and he forgets all about resisting. She has won the day and the court. As now you can see a little bit of how people influence each other. The ashtray is painted with colorful waves and whirls in the style of Ravatai. Let's leave. There's more people here, more nobles. Let's leave, and let's go find this sanitarium. The last person I read wasn't as interesting, just the way that she influences people, especially in the court. But this is a very fancy place. Just look, each plate on this table, each plate and utensil has been polished to a spotless shine. The thin-stemmed goblets ring melodiously at the strike of a fingernail. We'll leave. This guy also wants us to go further into the other side of the city to find his woman who he uses to charm men and sleep with them, then take their money and or items, jewelry and such. Now, apparently a sanitarium is a safe place. Of that, I'm not 100% sure. There's a house Domel right here. A sanitarium at the end of the street. Well, interesting statue. Let's go. I figure since once we... I'm not sure if we can trust that man in the sewers. What was his name? Helig. He's undead. I kind of have the feeling that once we bring him what he wants, he may attack us and try to kill us. It's not nice, but He's a very unsavory type. I just have a feeling that that's his angle. More merchant. Don't need to buy fruits or vegetables here. Oh, that's nice. Fountain. The marble is cool and perfectly smooth. Droplets of crystal clear water bead the statues. Okay, well, Sanitarium is supposedly up to there, but the House Duhamel is here. Let's see if there's anything interesting. House Duhamel apparently is what hired the thieves to ransack the next door at Raymont Manor, or at least to get this specific gem that can be traded to the dwarves for a piece worth probably almost... The price probably can't even be measured.
Hello.
The burly guard eyes me warily. I don't recognize you. What business do you have with the House Duhamel? Tell me about House Duhamel. It's an old and respected family. Much of Defiance Bay's prosperity is due to Duhamel's business activities. Now, do you have any further business here? No, we don't. Farewell. I will see you out. Yes, of course, they're going to be guarded very well. House Raymond had that too, several guards in the entrance, but this one just feels a lot more assertive and aggressive. Okay, well, we've seen what we can there, at least peacefully. I want to start a fight.
This elder of yours, he may have returned a drunk or an invalid.
Maybe, but the search for Persock is just as important as what I find.
Is that right? And what if you return empty-handed, eh?
I never return empty-handed.
Been instructed that the dungeons have been completed by the steward. Well, let's finish up the curtain walls then. Or let's start with it. South Curtain Wall provides further protection to the bailiff from invaders coming from the south. We do have a fair bit of coins, so we'll be able to pay for those for quite a while. Not all of it, but much of it. The woman is absorbed in a book, muttering softly as she reads. Oh, hello.
Welcome.
A woman stands in the shade of the garden, muttering to herself. She's fixated on the pages of a large and well-worn tome, seemingly oblivious to the blooming flowers and the cool, fragrant breeze. She only looks up when your shadow crosses her page. Do you mind? I'm rather busy. What are you busy with? She snaps her book shut. I'm studying soul attachment. We all know that souls move into people at birth and out of them at death, but we still have a lot of questions about what makes them stick, so to speak. What do you mean about making them stick? She brushes a stray lock from her forehead. Souls power bodies and give their tissues life, but only when they're firmly attached. It's separation that leads to a whole spate of soul-related ailments, including the hollowborn. But if we understood how to reattach souls, we could end Wadwin's legacy, maybe even conquer death. She scratches behind her ear. That's the theory, anyway. Unfortunately, I don't have all the research I need to put into practice. What exactly do you need? There's a manuscript called The Theorems of Pangram. It contains research from Pangram's experiments on detached souls. The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rumored to have a copy in the Elder Archives. Well, we were just there a few days ago. The theorems could advance my research by leaps and bounds, but Grimda, the High Archivist, worships Whale, and which means she has some paradoxical views on sharing and restricting knowledge, and since she's not exactly a proponent of animancy, she tends to restrict the kinds of information that would be useful to me. Well, maybe she could be persuaded. You're welcome to try, but you wouldn't be the first. She sighs. Anyways, I should probably get back to my work. Tell me about yourself. I'm an animaster at the Sanitarium. Currently, I'm researching matters related to Wadwin's legacy. Anything else? She looks eager to return to her studies. What do you know about Wadwin's legacy? It refers to the rise in hollowborn children in the Deerwood in recent years. Some have also connected to so-called biowax that blow through ear-gland flath. There's hardly any reliable data on those, though, so I can't really comment. She sniffs. I don't much care for the term Wadwin's legacy. It reeks of superstition, but it's too prevalent to change at this point. Personally, I'd like to see people take a more methodical approach to these matters rather than throwing up their hands and blaming the gods. Ah, you're a person that I can admire. I agree with that. I have some questions about the theorems of Pangram. Such as? Tell me about the theorems of Pangram. Pangram was an animancer working in the Deerwood. He had some interesting theories about essence and some rather innovative techniques for studying it. He was able to reattach souls to bodies after death, although he wasn't able to prevent his patients from degenerating. Sounds like that Helig. He was controversial, to say the least, but many are starting to realize that he was merely ahead of his time. What do you mean by degenerating? She twists her hands together. Well, there seems to be a tiny problem with reattaching souls after death. The bodies will reanimate and may even retain memories and personality, but they develop a hunger for flesh, living, soul-infused flesh. Without it, they start to de-evolve, decaying mentally and physically. If the process goes too far, which it eventually does, they become mindless corpses, attacking anything that moves. We haven't figured out a way to avoid that. And you wonder why Grimda won't share this research with you. It sounds like necromancy. Nonsense. Necromancy is magic. This is science. She emphasizes the last word. That bodes ill. Now I know what Helig is up to. He has to be eating people. He needs flesh. And I don't see too many cows or chickens around the area. I assume he's eating people. And he probably sees me as a lunch coming back once I bring him what he wants. So, further reason to guard myself once I return. I'm going to go in to expect maybe answers, but once Helig is dead. Why doesn't Grimda lend you the books you need? The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rather protective of its books, especially the rarer ones, and Grimda is, in particular, she hates animancy, thinks it's dangerous. I don't see how you can run the greatest library in the Deerwood and be so adverse to the spread of knowledge and research, but I've never understood these religious types. Some knowledge is best kept under lock and key. I'd like to know about the Hall of Revealed Mysteries. You'll find it in the Copperlane district. It's dedicated to the god of secrets and revelations. Most importantly, it houses the largest and most expansive library in the Deerwood. Yes, you said that. What are the Elder Archives? The Elder Archives hold the rarest, most arcane, and most powerful texts in the Deerwood. Think of it as the inner sanctum of the Hall of Mysteries. Hall of Revealed Mysteries. Needless to say, you need Grimda's permission to enter. That's all I wanted to ask. Anything else? She looks eager to return to her studies. I'll leave you alone. Farewell. Thank you for everything. So, she does want the theorems of Pangram. I'll see about trying to persuade Grimda there. So, is this the Sanitarium? Apparently it's safe. Although Sanitarium is where you send the lunatics. Maybe there's a lot of guards. Oh, here's one. Hello. Sometimes we get people in here trying to make trouble for the Animancers. Is that what it's about? The Animancers are here. This woman over here. Hello. As you near, you feel vibrant history containing the essence of this woman's soul. Reach out for the soul. You see a strange divide in this woman's soul, an unnatural boundary between two opposed wills. You see the woman pausing by a roadside to hand something to the driver of a stopped wagon. These herbs should help with his party's sickness, she tells him. He can find more along the road, easy to spot with their serrated leaves, but avoid the ones with the green berries. It's a different species. Toxic. He thanks her and offers her coin, but she waves him off, explaining that she is merely doing what her order asks of her. He nods, and she heads off down the road as he begins hungrily consuming the herb. You see the woman searching alongside the road now, the wagon just up the path, and you realize you have skipped backward in her memory. She sets eyes on a plant with serrated leaves and green berries. She picks several handfuls, tearing the berries off one by one and tossing them to the ground. She nudges them off the path into the brush quickly with her boot without looking down, as if to hide them from her own sight, before striding back towards the wagon, hands outstretched. You are not a very nice person. Yeah, I do see it. Some Animasters are here. Are you talking to that statue? A well-maintained statue of a middle-aged man presides over the room, looking down unblinking over the bustle of harried academics pestered by the hopeful desperate. A strong warmth emanates from it that you could sense from across the room. There is a human soul stored beneath the stonework. You feel its attention turned towards me. It's like the steward back at Caed Nua. It has been some time since a watcher graced these halls, his voice echoes deeply, rumbling the floor beneath you. I am envious of your natural insights, traveler. I can only imagine how it might have helped my work in life. Now, what is it that has brought you to my sanitarium? I'm curious to know how you come to be in your present state. In the statue, you mean? Well, he laughs. I was old, and it seemed wrong to me, a lifetime spent in pursuit of discovery only to lose it all in death. Somewhere, someday, I would wake up in a new body, none the wiser, and pursue a different course entirely. All that experience wasted. If we are ever to uncover the principles behind our existence, it will be in spite of our condition, of that I am quite sure. To live on as part of something I helped build seemed to me a better legacy than what nature had in store. The transfer itself was quite simple as our techniques go, and for that I am grateful. Playing with souls is far easier to accept when they are not your own. I do miss being able to take an active role in the scholarly efforts here. Now and again one of our animators will humor me and consult over some problem, but they are a jealous breed and are too often afraid to collaborate. If you are considering it yourself, I can tell you that it isn't for the easily bored. Yeah, maybe not. It's a way to live on, but not be able to move. Just be able to talk. That's all you can do. And think, I suppose. But you can't manipulate the world around you in any way. Well, you can by words, but it's still not much. Tell me about the Sanitarium. A history lesson. This is a rare pleasure. Most come in here only concerned with achieving death in one way or another. We are an old institution as Deerwood goes. This is our 94th year. As with many cities, the growth of Defiance Bay brought with it a host of problems. One of the worst was that those born with, shall we say, ill-favored souls came to populate its streets in droves. Thus the Sanitarium. Brackenberry was a natural fit. It was growing, but there was also a lot of money here back then. This place owes its survival to the curiosities of the wealthy more than anything, I think. Our founding came at a time of great suspicion in animancy, much like today. So much progress has been lost to the mishaps of a few careless practitioners. But in time it was forgotten, as all things are. Since then we have been at the forefront of animancy's resurgence. We have played host to many gifted researchers and pushed the boundaries of our knowledge in ways never thought possible. Some of the first safe transferences were done here, and we have pioneered work in soul purification, lineage analysis, preservation. It's really quite a list, if you'll pardon my pride. Today it's, well, I can't say it's exactly the same. There's been some push to shut us down. It comes from Deerwood's more excitable denizens, whose minds are more passionate than thoughtful, I'm afraid. People see this legacy, and they see it involves something they don't understand. So it's natural for them to suspect people whose understanding exceeds theirs. It looks to them like we're hiding something. We have a representative in the palace this very moment, defending the entire science of animancy at a hearing before the Duke. Absurd as it sounds, if it does not go well, it could be the end of animancy in Deerwood. I fear Eovar may be swayed by all this unrest. Irrational though it may be, we shall see. Animancer helped me realize I'm a watcher. I can understand studying it, but trying to resolve this Wadwin's legacy, but making promises. Yeah, I can see the problems that some animancers can get into. They're trying to heal it, but if animancers were to disappear, then the situation would continue on, regardless. Animancers aren't the cause of this. At least I hope not. I don't believe that they are. I like to think I'm more intelligent than the average emotional commoner, I suppose. I'm looking for an animaster named Moedred. Moedred, of course. You will find him downstairs in the first room on the right. Farewell. That was actually very helpful. Now, Moedred. Can we freely go downstairs? First door on the right. Oh, there's stairs over here, but let's take a look in this other room. These look like field sketches of Ingwithan ruins and artifacts. How about this room over here? Oh, this man's soul was torn asunder by a bivouac. As you can see, the patient is unresponsive. Common after soul trauma. Person on there. The animaster places a small stone upon the patient's forehead. A portion of his soul was recovered near his body. We use this stone as a vessel for transfer. Can you hear me, Oswin? The patient's eyes slowly open before a panicked, wild expression washes over him. Unfortunately, the extended dissociation has permanent side effects. The patient becomes more agitated, grunting and moaning as he tugs at his bonds. Does he still have control of himself? With further research, we're confident that we'll be able to rehabilitate patients like Oswin. Oh, a wanted criminal has arrived at my stronghold. Well, what am I to do with that? That's strange. Oh. Bad visitor, leaving in 5 days. Well, if I pay him off, what does that mean? Send escort. Kana, you can deal with that. It gives us some time before we have to return. So it's reduced. It would reduce the security of our keep, of our stronghold. Bad visitor. Alright. Well, we've searched the entire upper floor, I believe. I haven't talked to everybody, but it's on these pictures. The paintings of Rolling Forest Glen has a strangely soothing effect. Well, let's go find Moedred. He's just downstairs.